Procrastination is such a common problem because it affects everybody, people of all levels of seniority. It affects people of all ages as well. And it's the act of delaying things that should be done in a timely manner. And it sounds harmless, but it's not harmless because it leads to missed deadlines. It leads to poor performance. It leads to unnecessary stress. And sometimes it can even lead to health issues as well. And here's where most people get this wrong. If you ask someone why they procrastinate, you'll hear the usual answers. I'm just bad with time, or I need more discipline, or I'm not feeling motivated, or the one that I use all the time, I work better under pressure, or I'm lazy. All of that sounds reasonable. And unfortunately, all of it is also wrong because procrastination is nothing to do with time management. It's not a time management problem. It's got nothing to do with motivation. And it's definitely not a laziness problem. Procrastination is actually a protection response. Okay, what is actually happening is this. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala. Okay, the amygdala. And that part of your brain exists for one job only, to keep you safe. Okay, in the Chimp Paradox, brilliant book by Steve Peters, it's coined the chimp brain. Okay, and your chimp brain does not care about your goals. It doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't care about your future self. All it cares about is avoiding threat. So the moment you're about to do something that carries a perceived risk of failure, risk of rejection, risk of looking stupid, risk of getting something wrong, your chimp, your amygdala, steps in and it hits pause. Okay, let's make this real and not abstract. Okay, you know you should apply for the job, or you know you should start the project, or send a message, or write a strategy, or have the conversation. Your rational brain, the one that looks at facts and evidence, is saying, this would be good for me. But your chimp says, hang on a minute. What if I get rejected? What if I mess up? What if I succeed and then I'm not good enough? What if this exposes me and I get judged? So your chimp offers a solution. Don't do it. Do it later. Do it when you are more ready, or do it when things and circumstances are perfect. That is what procrastination actually is. It's not laziness or time management. It's a degree of self-preservation, self-protection. This is why telling yourself just to push through doesn't work, because you're trying to overpower a threat response with willpower. You're fighting a signal, not the problem. It's like shouting at a smoke alarm instead of turning the toaster down. Okay, the alarm itself is not broken. Okay, it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. So here's where everything starts to change. Okay, think of it through this lens. Anxiety and excitement. Think about anxiety and excitement. They're the same thing, which sounds ridiculous. But it's the same physiological response. Same nervous system activation. The difference is not the feeling. The difference is the story about the feeling and the future. So anxiety is future focused, but it only sees what's going to go wrong. Excitement is also future focused, but it only sees what is going to go right. It's the same energy, it's just moving at a different rate of vibration and in a different direction. Your chimp defaults to the worst case scenario. That's its job, as Roy Keane might say, okay, to protect you. Your job is to manage it as best you can and redirect the picture if needed. And this is where procrastination can be managed, and it can start to dissolve. Not because you become more disciplined or motivated, but because the task in hand stops feeling threatening. Okay, I've lived this early on with content in this channel. Great example, I procrastinated hard, not because I didn't want it, but because I cared too much. You know, everything had to be sharp, well thought through, worth people's times. You know, what if I got things wrong? Well, really, I just didn't want to risk being judged on the internet, if I'm being honest. But that made every video feel like a risk. So my chimp said, let's wait, let's prepare more, let's make it perfect. You don't really need to do it. And then progress just halted, flatlined. But then you shift the energy. Instead of asking things like, how do I make this perfect? You ask, what am I genuinely curious about? What do I want to explore with this? How cool would it be just to help one person through some content, a different future picture, less threat and way more excitement? And suddenly the resistance starts to disappear. Okay, here's another myth worth killing around procrastination. People who procrastinate are rarely lazy, in my experience. Okay, they're often high performers with standards, with reputations, with something to actually lose. Lazy people don't tend to overthink. Procrastinators overthink because they care and they're pushing threat, pushing onto risk. Usually they're pushing onto that next level of perceived risk, which is why procrastination and perfectionism are inherently linked. Perfectionism is it sounds more impressive. I get it. It sounds like you've got ridiculously high standards. But actually, it's avoidance dressed up as those ridiculously high standards. If it has to be perfect, you never have to press send or publish. Okay, if you never make things visible, then it can't be judged. So your chimp absolutely loves that logic. It keeps you safe. Yeah, but what if you want to make progress? What if you want to make an impact? Then that's just keeping you stuck. So what is the way out of all of this? Well, you don't need to raise the bar even higher. You just lower the point of entry, which releases the pressure. Okay, there's a well-known example from a photography class, an experiment. One group was graded with how many photos they took, volume of photos. The other group was graded on the production of one perfect photo. And at the end of the experiment, the best work came from the group who focused on quantity, the ones who took the most action. Why? Because the repetition starts to kill the fear, and the movement and the evidence calms the chimp down. And this can apply everywhere, whether it's in writing, commit to 2 bad pages first. Training, just commit to 10 minutes. Or strategy, open the document and write the first line. Or in a relationship that you're trying to improve, just a few small words of affirmation to start with. When the task feels small, the chimp starts to slow down. And when you start, momentum can take over. I learned this also with training. I used to think that workouts had to be really long or really intense all the time. So, and if I couldn't do that, I would do nothing. All or nothing thinking is just classic chimp behavior. I changed the rule to just show up, do the first 10 minutes if you have to, no resistance. And 99 times out of 100, I ended up doing the full session, not through motivation, just through that relentless commitment to starting. Okay, so here is the real reframe around all of this. Procrastination is not a flaw, it's a feature of pushing yourself and being a high performer. Okay, it's your chimp trying to protect you from a future that it doesn't yet trust. Okay, your job is not to fight it, your job is to change that future picture, lower the threat, and then create that movement. Okay, do that and the procrastination can start to fade. Not because you've kind of forced things through, but because you're just more aware and you're leading yourself better. Okay, as with all of this, I'm working through it all the time personally. But if this resonates, I've got a private community now on it who are getting a weekly private letter from me. I'm going to put the link in the description. Sign up. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.